Do I need to forgive? If so, why and how do I do it? That's the topic that we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager, and today I'm proud to introduce you to an amazing man of God. His name is Mark Goodman. He's actually a forgiveness coach, and it comes from his personal experience to tell you why and how you should forgive. He's a speaker and he's an author of a book called Forgiving a Good Man, and he runs a nonprofit entitled 70 times 7. And he's here to share his pathway to forgiveness with you and his mission in forgiveness. It's unique because it combines clinical psychology, theology, and real life experience. Welcome, Mark. I am delighted to share your message on Flourish-Meant today.
Thank you so very much. It's so good to be with you, Tina.
Mark, you are so focused on how to help people to experience the joy of not being bound to the unforgiveness and bitterness that really eats away like a cancer at your lives. Let's focus for a moment on one of the hardest people that we might have to forgive, and that's ourselves. Can you talk about that just a moment?
That's a tough one. And a lot of people talk about self-forgiveness can be really tough. And the reason being is if you think about it for a second, if forgiveness only takes one side, and if reconciliation takes two sides, reconciliation is always very tough to do because you can only control the one side, right? If we can trying to reconcile with a family member or somebody else, you can do your part, you can't control the other, but it takes that both sides. However, with ourselves, we are the offender and the offended. So I like to call it self-reconciliation, not self-forgiveness, because it takes both sides. And that's why it's so tough to do. Mark, I can't believe you did that. Right? You need to apologize. You know, you're right. I can't believe I want to do something about it. And I'm sorry. And I'm changing and I will change and I repent. Okay. So, and then you literally, it's this process of reconciliation is why it's so difficult. I look at it, especially for those who love the Lord, is God made him who had no sin, that in him we are the righteousness of God. Or as the way I like to put it, in him, Mark Goodman is the righteousness of God. Fill in your name there. So the ability to look in the mirror, and if you can see you the way that God sees you, righteous and perfected, yes, that happened. The Lord forgave me. I need to forgive me. And I am righteous in the eyes of God. I need to be righteous in the eyes of Mark Goodman. It's a tough process. If you go to our website, 70times7.org, we have a free tool in there. Click on self-worth. It's a 6-part audio series that will walk you through that process. Where this stinking thinking came from, what it's affecting to you, how to change it, and where to go. It's a free resource.
Your method for helping people achieve freedom through forgiveness walks people through certain practical steps in this journey. Can you talk about some of those practical steps, where you start, where you lead to, instead of skipping to the end, so to speak?
Sure. Here's the difficulty. 2 of them. One, there is no end zone. It's not like a touchdown. I throw the football down and I made it, right? What happened to you, what happened to them, what happened to me, we'll always struggle with it. But there are different levels of forgiveness. There's a decisional, make a decisional. There's emotional forgiveness, and there's spiritual forgiveness. Too much to put in right here, but there are actually 3 levels that we want to walk through. But even just get to making a decision about it is great. But the other part of it is this. There is no one way on the path to forgiveness. Just like Jesus didn't heal the same way twice, so is it with forgiveness. To be able to write a book that here are the 6 steps, Tina, it would be a lie. I'd be lying to you. Everybody's path is different. And there's a lot of different reasons, personality types, what happened to you, background, faith, non-faith, levels of agreeableness. There's a lot of different factors into it. So each path is different. So it all does start off with having a desire to and a want to. We are working towards right now as a major funding project to build the first ever forgiveness app and platform that literally going through an assessment, going through a 30-question assessment, We can discover that, and you'll go down different paths that are customized, personalized just for you. We're about 18 months from being able to launch that. And meanwhile, that's what I do. Sit down, hear, listen. What happened? What are your personality types? And here's a path. I wish I could give an easy answer. It would be a lie. All I can do is encouragement that the work is worth it. And hopefully I'm evidence of that. And my blessings, I want everybody else to feel that same blessing.
On this very individualized personal journey that you would lead clients toward, you mentioned that you offer your services free of charge. I imagine the app is also free of charge. Can you talk about how you integrate clinical psychology with theology and your personal story in order to meet the needs of people who are in the space of feeling bitterness, resentment, and difficulty there?
There are literally thousands of studies on the subject of forgiveness. There's a science of forgiveness, what works, what doesn't work. And so that's why I say we combine psychology and theology and experience, and they match together. We don't have to give up one for the other. Isn't that beautiful? They actually match side by side. If you were to take a personality trait, the 5 personality traits, so if you want to do that, there are tools available online for free. Really, the 2 of them matter in the world of forgiveness: levels of agreeableness and levels of neuroticism, how neurotic, anxiety level, neuroticism. If you score high in agreeableness, it's much easier to forgive. Low in agreeableness, much tougher for you. And conversely, in neuroticism, if you score high in neuroticism, it's hard to forgive, and low. One has to do with ability to have empathy for your offender, and the other one has to do with how judgmental you are. So if you score high in agreeableness and low in neuroticism, you're going to have a much easier path to forgive. Conversely, the other one, you got a longer path, no matter what happened. And it's not fair. I get it. It's how you're wired. So everybody's path is different. But if you want to take that test to see your levels of agreeableness and neuroticism, it'll give you a good idea is how long your path to forgiveness is going to be.
It brings to mind the scripture that says there is no fear in love. So the higher your levels of fear, the more difficult it will be to experience that reconciliation, that love exchange relationship, or even forgiveness, to love someone who doesn't reconcile with you, that doesn't return your thoughts and feelings that are loving. And this spiritual piece is key, isn't it? No matter what we're going through, it's very difficult, some might even say impossible, to forgive without the help of Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. And I'll add to that. I love where you went with that, and add to it judgmental. If we need to be the judge, then we need to stick around and make sure we hold on to that, to make sure that judgment happens to them. Or we can release that judgment to the Lord, right? And so that combination between fear and judgment makes a huge difference. The more you trust the Lord to not have fear, and the more you trust the Lord to leave the judging and the judgment and the justice to Him, the faster, the easier it will be to find your freedom to be able to flourish in life.
I'd like you to speak for a moment to that person who has issues with anxiety, who has mental health pre-existing disorders, or who is struggling with their faith because of what's happened to them. Is there hope for them, or can they simply just give up and say, this might be possible for people like you or for these other Christian people, but not for me?
Yeah, I deal a lot with that, and have, and with a lot of amazing successes. Escape from suicide, where there was no hope at all. So I've got multiple success stories on that. It can just be a tougher road and a little longer path. And again, that's why I say it may feel as though it's not fair, right? Because of my mental issue, because of my high anxiety levels, it's not fair, which is true from a worldly point of view. The difference is that it's just a different path. There's different ways of doing that to get around that and move forward with that. And it's going to take a little more work. But all I can say is holding out that carrot at the end, it's so well worth it. We're back to the desire where we started off before. at the beginning. How badly do you want it? Are you okay with carrying around that backpack? I've gotten so used to carrying this around that you're just willing to keep carrying it around. Then keep carrying it around. It's your choice. Or your shoulder's getting tired. It may take some work. Let's get started. Let's go do it.
You would help someone recognize that the pain of staying where they are is greater than the pain of changing and moving through that process that's difficult.
That is correct. And there are a lot of people, just like my oldest brother, who choose to continue to hang on the pain. And a lot of it has to do with the blame. Brene Brown says, blame is the discharge of anger. Blame is the discharge of anger. We're angry, and so we blame. So if I'm no longer angry at the person, if I'm willing to forgive, then the blame goes away, and that means I'm responsible. Whoa, I've spent a lifetime. I'm like this because of what my dad did, right? You're taking that away from me? Ooh, that's scary. That is scary. Then really my financial, my emotional, my spiritual, my relational well-being is now up to me. That can be very scary, especially for those that you mentioned about with high anxiety, any type of mental distress. And so it's getting into that saying, time to get out of the passenger seat of life, get in the driver's seat with the Lord. Lord, I trust you. I don't know where this is going, but we're going to point it in this direction. And with this direction, I can feel in control again, and that I've got a future and I am on my way. I'm still on my way. I've not got there yet. I still have scars. Yeah, it takes work.
For those who would like to find the hope that you've mentioned and experience freedom and release and less tension and less burdening in their lives, how can they connect with you for coaching or a copy of Forgiving a Good Man?
There's a contact form on 70x7.org, 70x7.org. Reach out. I would love to help. We do this over Zoom as well. So I've got one tomorrow in Tanzania. We're in the business of forgiveness and here to help. But just reach out. Would love to. And just have that desire. I think of it often like a dog reaches in and takes a big bite out of your arm, Tina. You got every right in the world to be angry at the dog. I get it. But if you do nothing with it and leave that wound open, what's going to happen? It's going to affect. And it's going to affect and infect. And so is the wound of unforgiveness. It will affect and infect everything in your life, including your relationships with your family, your loved ones, and with your Lord. You can blame the dog for the bite. You can't blame the dog for the infection. That's on you. And so some days my wounds hurt. I still have scars, but the wounds are no longer open. Do you want your wounds to be healed up? It's up to you. Reach out to us. We're here to help.
I hope that all of you listening were encouraged to seek forgiveness and freedom for yourselves by contacting 70x7 and Mark Goodman at his site, and look forward to the app that's coming with them as well as the screenplay. And of course, I also hope that you will come back for the next episode of Flourishment.